welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. I got to tell you, we live in Florida, we live in paradise, but with paradise comes some issues. And to fix issues, you should always, always, always use a professional. Some of the issues we have here is that we live in a state of humidity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and with me is Lamont and Angie from EcoStrike LLC.
Yes,
Did I get it right?
You got
I
it.
try to get it out in the beginning before I screw it up.
That's good. You gotta let that flow though. EcoStrike.
Right, EcoStrike.
There you
Okay,
go.
what does EcoStrike do?
We are a restoration company, so for emergency services.
Okay,
That encompasses mold remediation,
okay.
water mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
We also handle fire and smoke as well. And under a different license, we are available to do environmental testing.
Okay, so how many years are you in it?
8 years now.
Okay, so in 8 years, have you seen a change in the industry?
We do. We've seen a lot of change. Back in the day, prior to 2012, it was the Wild West in the restoration industry. People that were doing it didn't necessarily, it wasn't a state licensure requirement back then. So people could do it, and they'd do it without a license. They would go try to deal with the insurance carriers. If you were a general contractor, you certainly tried to do it. And as anything that's non-regulated like that, it really got out of hand.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Has the equipment changed in the years since you started?
Equipment's changed a lot. Equipment's gotten lighter, more compact, more efficient, more energy efficient, because when you go on a job, you're in an emergency service situation. A lot of times you're working without power, you're working off a generator, and so it really counts how much equipment you can run, off a generator, or you can run in any individual unit.
It's interesting you said it because it's very similar. In our field, we go out with our cameras. They used to weigh tons, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're pretty lightweight. I mean, I'm older than dirt, so carrying them is not as easy. I have a question. So you deal with mold?
Yes.
Okay. Here's my thing about mold. How do I know if it's black mold or if it's a toxic? I think there's 5 toxic molds.
There are several different types of molds.
Yeah.
How do I know when I look at a spot on my ceiling if it's toxic, if it's bad, or if I need to do something, or if I need to wear a gas mask in my house? How do I know those things?
That's a great question. We hear so many times, I've got black mold in my house. I mean, we get phone calls and they're like, oh my gosh, I got black mold. There's thousands of black molds, okay? The only way to really know what it is, the type of mold, is look at it under a microscope. To actually grab a sample, get it to an environmental laboratory, let them look at it under a microscope, and identify the mold.
So if I have what I think is mold on my walls, and mushrooms are growing on my wall, is it really bad?
You might want to call us to do an assessment, get that tested for you.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's cases, in my opinion, that happen in Florida. One would be roof leaks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Next would be someone in the upstairs floor, shower, bath, washer, leaking.
Absolutely.
Okay. So my question is, if it's leaking like right above me here,
Mm-hmm.
how come my water stain is 10 feet away?
You know what? Water's going to take the path of least resistance. So wherever there's least resistance, that's where it's going. So you may be leaking over here, roof leak, and it could travel to the other side of the room.
Okay, so when you come out,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know where the water is? How do you know if right above me is that washer and dryer, and I guess it leaked inside the wall? How do you know what happened inside the wall?
All of our techs in the field are IICRC certified, so they've been trained to know how to map the moisture, to find the location, find the cause, and then be able to take it from there. We use FLIR type cameras where we can show where differences in temperature are. Then we check it with a moisture meter or a protometer, and we can tell exactly where the water is, how wet it is. There are standards for building materials and what's acceptable and what's not. So our guys have to know all that. We record it, map the moisture, and keep up with it on a daily basis during the dry out.
So, using my intelligence, really I don't have any when it comes to that industry, but I do have common sense. And I'm thinking that water will go the path of where it can be absorbed. And sheetrock seems to be a place that water coming from top down is going to get into.
That's right.
Is that like the most prevalent place that you find that, and maybe some insulation issues?
Yeah, absolutely. Most wall cavities have insulation in it unless it's an interior wall, but for drywall is semi-porous, so it's going to take on water when it's introduced. And if there's water in the insulation, it's one of the first things that has to be pulled.
Okay.
You're not going to dry that out.
How do you dry it?
Yeah, we dry with, it's called structural drying.
Okay.
So we know the different materials, we know the standards by which they are considered dry and which are considered wet or saturated, and there is industry standards involved. And our guys are going in and they're introducing airflow to the rooms. We, Home Depot now is selling fans and dehumidifiers, and they cater to the do-it-yourselfer, but those do-it-yourselfers have no idea of how to set that equipment up to make sure that you're most effective, to make sure that you're getting ahead of the water, meaning drying it out before actual mold will grow.
Okay, so somebody told me that mold grows within 72 hours. Is that right?
That's
Yep.
awesome. You are good.
All right. What happens?
Yeah.
I know this much
See,
about
you're
a
smart.
ton
See, you're
of ton of subjects. So now, not all mold is dangerous.
No, not at all.
Okay, and see now I'm using the little bit of knowledge I have and sounding smart. They told me that the bathroom, anywhere where there's water, is where
Yep.
mold will grow fastest, I guess.
Your sink could be, it could be your bathroom, any plumbing equipment in your house, and so wherever your plumbing is connected to. So that could be the back of your refrigerator. That could be
Oh, wow.
your dishwasher, your toilets, your sinks. And
I go back to an outhouse, no dishwasher, washing it at the river, okay, and keeping it kind of simple. Okay, we have an idea of mold, and everybody talks about it and whatever, and you kind of clarified a lot of things. What about fire damage?
Yes.
That's a whole nother animal to deal with.
Mhm.
So I was in a fire, okay, so I know what it's like to be in a fire,
Mhm.
but it was on my floor, so there really wasn't a lot of damage but the floor. But fire is unbelievable, the damage it can cause. So when someone calls you and they have fire damage, what's the protocol for fire damage?
Most people think when you say fire damage, they visualize immediately a burned down house with charred studs and nothing really left. But most of the time, the fire jobs that we get onto are more smoke and soot related damage from an isolated fire. We actually we did a job a few weeks ago for a lady that had it was right around Christmas actually. She had an Advent wreath in the kitchen on a glass top table, and it was decorated with some artificial type flowers, and then she had candles in there, and she lit the candle, went to the laundry room, the wreath caught on fire, and literally that one small wreath on a breakfast table
Right.
caused over $30,000 worth of damage in the home.
Wow. So I know from having a lung illness and losing 40% of my lung function because of smoke, how dangerous that smoke can be. When you go in, can you get that smell gone out of the, even if it didn't happen in the living room, but the living room carpet's going to smell?
Yep.
Can you get rid of that smell?
We do. We have Most of the time, we're very successful in getting rid of the smell, and we always guarantee that it's going to be gone when we're finished. Okay, so we may have to do some additional work on the end if we're still getting odors from the initial fire, but we have chemicals that we use to get that out. We use ozone. We use
Ozone.
yeah.
My car flooded, and I used ozone in my car to get the smell.
How did it work?
Yeah, it worked perfect.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Put it under the seat.
There
right.
you go.
Yeah, because it flooded. So when you talk about fire, you probably a lot of times add water, because how do you put out the fire?
That's it.
Right.
With
right.
water.
Yeah.
So now you water the fire, and it gets on the carpeting. Could mold
Right.
grow on carpeting?
It'll grow on the carpet backing. You know,
Okay.
It's looking for an organic food source, and a lot of times your carpets are nylon, and it's not a great food source. But it does trap a lot of bacteria, and if mold grows on that backing, or if you trap water underneath the padding, the underlayment, it will it could grow mold under there. So.
Have you ever been to such a case where like you need to put on a gas mask?
Well, we use respirators. We don't call
That's
it
what
gas. Yeah, not gas
Okay,
mask.
I'm older than dirt. I'll call it what I want.
That's okay. They're either half face or a full face respirator. And yes,
Right.
our guys use those all the time. We actually, our techs have to be fit tested to make sure they've got a good seal, that everything works properly. And there's different filters that we use on the mask, and some of those do take out gas and other related vapors.
Well, I mean, I know that smoke and vapors are very dangerous for your lungs, and I'm a proponent of don't smoke. Don't go into a club where they have smoke on the ground. Our lungs were not meant to take smoke in,
Absolutely.
any kind of smoke.
Right.
And as a survivor of losing 40% of my lungs because of smoke, and I don't smoke, never have. But I was in a club that had hookah smoke, and the secondhand smoke gave me that. But the odor from smoke, and I know the odor, and it seems like it's one of those odors that is really difficult to get rid of.
Very tough.
Is it?
It's very tough.
It is.
Yeah.
So it takes time. How long does it take to dry out? If you have water damage, how long does it take to dry out usually?
It varies.
It does. It varies depending on how wet it is and how hard it is to get to, and what are the circumstances surrounding it. If you already have fungal growth introduced to the situation, you have to dry in a different manner than you would if you came in and just immediately after water intrusion, where you could be more aggressive. But on average, 3 to 5 days, with the right
Okay.
equipment, the right plan, you can get anything dried out.
Okay, we're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a website?
Yes, we're at EcoStrike.com.
Okay, office phone number?
Yes, we are 561-990-MOLD or 6653.
Okay, what areas do you cover? Where do you go, from where to where?
Boca Raton, we cover Boca Raton all the way down up to Vero.
Guys, I gotta tell you, you could find things to fix your problem at Home Depot and Lowe's. You're gonna spend more money, and then when you're done, you're gonna end up calling them because it's either gonna come back,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or you're not gonna be able to do it. And if you say to your partner, "Oh my God, yeah, look, it's an easy job," expect to spend 2 days doing it and then having to call a professional to do it. Every
Absolutely.
easy job is a miserable job, and it's not in your wheelhouse. These are the experts. These are the ones you want to work with. I want to thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Everybody have a great day, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.